What is up, my friends? Welcome back to another episode of Chris Talks. I am Chris. Welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. And again, for your warm reception on the other episodes. It's been a ton of fun so far. So I'm really looking forward to continuing this series and answering any questions you might have regarding making music, creating music, writing it in the first place, all that good stuff surrounding the art of what we call music. So, before we get started, I want to give you something. As you can read from the title, today's episode is all about playing an instrument and how important it is to actually play something, especially the piano, because that's something that I've experienced with, and that I want to give you something for free just to, as a gift for watching this video. Excuse me. It's called Playing Piano with Confidence, and it's a free guide I put together going over the essential techniques you need to know on the piano to really create music with your MIDI controller, even if it's like a really small keyboard, or even if you have like the 88 keys, some essential skills that you need to go over and really learn to get into your fingers to really ensure a smooth and efficient workflow. So it's totally free. It's the first link in the description box below, and I wanted to just give it to you as a guide, sorry, as a gift for watching this episode of Chris Talks. So thank you very much for joining me here today, and let's jump into the topic of playing an instrument and whether it is very, very important. So let's jump in. It's funny. Like, a lot of people, a lot of composers, musicians come from one of two scenarios. Either they grow up performing an instrument and they've basically been performing pieces of music that are already existing, and other people's pieces of music, and then they find more satisfaction in actually creating their own personal compositions and expressing their creativity that way. Or maybe they've just had an interest in creating music altogether, but maybe they have experience in other fields and they're not necessarily musicians to start out with, but they have a burning desire to actually create something in music, and then they jump in that way without a prior knowledge on an instrument. And I personally fall into the former camp. So I actually was raised as a classical pianist. I started playing at the age of 5. I was, trained classically, and I did a bunch of festivals and stuff as a kid, all that good stuff. But I was never really 100% satisfied when it came to, performing music, performing existing pieces of music. I mean, I had my favorite composers. I loved Chopin. I loved, Liszt, Rachmaninoff, those really technical pieces of music, but also really beautiful romantic styles of music. But yeah, I just never felt 100% connected to what I was doing, and I couldn't figure out why. I just figured, maybe playing piano is it's nice, but it's not really fun unless it's a piece of music I really, really love, which was few and far between. And it wasn't until high school when a couple of my friends really influenced me, because I think I always wanted to write music in some way, but it really sparked my interest when one of my friends, he was a DJ, and I went to his house. He was a family friend of mine, and he actually does a ton of like DJing. He had all the equipment, he had faders, he had all the knobs, and all the electronic stuff. And I thought that was really, really cool. And I was actually interested in how to do that stuff. Whereas my other friend, he was actually a jazz oriented guy, and he would go on the piano almost every day and improvise stuff on the spot. And I thought that was really, really cool as well. So I kind of merged those two things together, and I was like, I want to learn how to produce music on the computer in the style I love the most, which I didn't know at the time what that was yet, but I knew I wanted to create music that was very melodic, very beautiful, and just impacted people the same way my favorite songs impacted me. And the fact that I had a background in piano absolutely helped. I have to say that. I can't deny it, And it's funny, like, all my students, who I teach composition and orchestration to, some of them don't have as much experience in piano, and we're working through piano skills to get to the point where they can comfortably, elevate their skills to work smoothly in a DAW on the MIDI controller. Repeatedly, they always say, "Wow, I never realized how beneficial it is to be able to play the piano, or just to have basic keyboard skills." Because think about it, it's really one of two instruments that can really create melody and chords at the same time, the other one being guitar. But the thing is, the piano is such a visual instrument. You have two black notes, three black notes, two black notes, three black notes, and the scales are laid out in a very linear way. Like, the keyboard is laid out in a very beautiful way, right? So if you're able to play something in one hand and play something in the other hand, then you can see exactly what you're doing. Whereas in guitar, you only have, like, I think it's 5 strings? No, 6 strings, 6 strings, right? And And you can play chords and stuff in there, but they're all different finger positions, and you can be a great guitarist and know exactly where every single chord and stuff is. But I think when we're explaining theory, it's a lot easier to actually visualize it on something like the piano. So that's why I always recommend people when they ask, like, what should be the first instrument I take a look into and actually experiment with, I always say the piano, because not only is it very visual and easy to learn from, but it's actually the easiest to play. All you have to do is push your finger down on something. And that's so cool, right? The fact that you can make music just by pressing things. Now, of course, there's ways to do that to create naturally good sounding music, but the actual mechanics of playing the instrument is actually not too difficult to get started. And that's why most parents get their kids started on a piano or on keyboard at a very, very young ages, even some as young as 2 or 3 years old, which is insane. But yeah, so I guess me growing up, I played piano. I also played like some violin up until the age of 8 or 9 or 10 or something. And then I had to stop because of schoolwork and I decided to stick with piano. In high school, I played flute and piccolo, and in which I also tried trombone for a little bit. So I actually have experience in each of the orchestral sections, but piano was something that I've just always been doing because I've just done it from a young age, and I was the most advanced at that level. But anyway, getting back to the question, is it really necessary to learn the keyboard to compose music? So while it's not absolutely necessary, you can actually draw in notes by using your mouse and things like that. But I think being able to actually play it in, especially performing individual instruments in with the mod wheel, expression, volume, right? That can really put you in the mind of the musician, of the performer. So if I'm performing in a flute line and I want to play something that's very naturally melodic, then for example, if I want it to be more vibrato or if I want it to be a little more expressive in those higher notes, then I'm going to play that line and actually ride it, at the same time, and vice versa when I'm coming down and I want it to decrescendo, get a little quieter. Whereas that would be more difficult if you don't have any keyboard skills and you have to draw those notes in manually and then do your mod wheel data afterwards. It's just not as smooth of a workflow where compared to if you are actually a trained keyboard player. So, yeah, ultimately, I can say that playing piano has absolutely helped me, and I would definitely recommend you learning basic keyboard skills if you don't have any currently. My free guide will walk you through what to do there, and yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to posting some piano training videos on the channel, ear training stuff as well. It's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, all in all, I think it is necessary to learn the keyboard, even if it's at a very basic levels, to be able to play basic chords and triads, and also to play scales even slowly. But being able to play your major minor scales as well as basic triads, broken solid chords, arpeggios, and recognizing intervals with ear training, that's all stuff that's very, very important and can speed up your workflow tremendously if you actually have those fundamental skills. So, thank you very much for watching. I'd love to ask you if you are a pianist or maybe not, maybe you play another instrument, but do you find that hinders your workflow at all, or do you have other ways to get around that? And if you are a keyboard player, do you find it actually helps a lot with your composing process and your workflow? Because I know for me, it personally has. So, I'd love to know if that's the same for you. And if you haven't picked it up yet, the guide Playing Piano with Confidence is the first link down in the description box. And again, it just walks you through the essential skills that you need to really get into starting making music on the piano. The really fundamental skills are there. And I can definitely recommend it if you're an orchestral composer who is just looking to speed up your workflow with more technical skills on a certain instrument, namely the piano. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. I'll catch you in the next episode and take care. Bye bye.